Hey, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are staying safe. Today I'll be making a wall hanging shelf using this Dollar Tree floating shelf, as well as one of their Christmas signs. I'll be using some wood glue, a piece of tape, acrylic matte paint, and you're gonna need your scissors and your sponge brush. So what I'm doing, I'm removing the plastic from the shelf, which I'll be setting aside in a little bit. Now it says the shelf can hold up to 5 pounds. I would recommend that if you're going to be making this DIY, that you not put anything too heavy on it, because it's not gonna hold up. Now if you're putting the shelf on the wall, then that's different. You can use the screws and add the shelf to the wall. Now what I'm doing here, I'm just putting down the shelf to measure out or to see where I need to place the shelf. I am also going to be using a piece of tape just to cover the area where the shelf is going before I start painting. Now off camera, I'm doing a second shelf. So I place the tape down before I start painting. Now I applied 2 coats of paint to the board. I allowed 1 coat to dry properly before I added the second. So here I am just adding the first coat, and then I remembered that I needed to put a little spackle inside the holes just to cover those. So that's what I'm doing. I'm applying a little spackle, Dollar Tree spackle, to the holes to cover those, then resume painting. When that side was done, I flipped it over and applied 2 coats of this as well. Applied the first coat, allowed it to dry, and then I applied the second coat. Now, like I said earlier, I was working on 2 at the time. So what I did, I allowed them to dry properly. I placed a sheet of paper towel where I will be putting down the weight, and I left them overnight to dry properly. Now I could not find my ruler, so I'm using my tape measure just to measure out 3.5 inches equally, where I'm going to be using this cardboard to just draw the lines down. I want 3.5 inches in space. And this is just to make it appear as if it's real wood. I'm going to use a little black paint with my fine tip paintbrush and just brighten the lines a little bit. I could have used a Sharpie, but that, as the name suggests, would have been too sharp. So I decided to use the brush, just lightly scoring the line to brighten them a little bit. Guys, if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. Please, if you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. After I was done and it was dried, then I took my sandpaper block and I'm just rubbing the wood so that it appears that it's worn and aged and beaten and battered and just natural. So I just sand it down a little bit, and then I applied some Mod Podge for sheen. After it was dried, I am now using some twine, and this is just for decorative purposes. I am wrapping some twine around the shelf. I gave it probably 3 or 4 wraps around and just applying the glue, the hot glue, to keep it in place. Now this is also optional. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but I just wanted to to give it that additional core or natural feel. So I decided to just wrap some twine at the bottom of it. So now I am going to be gluing down the shelf. Now this wood is the one where I painted before I actually put the tape down. So that is why you see that piece of tape there. Now you want to make sure that in addition to applying the wood glue is just to keep the twine and the frame in place. The hot glue is actually what is going to hold it securely, because the hot glue will hold it faster than the wood glue, and the wood glue will keep it intact for longer. Then I took this burlap ribbon, decorative ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree and had for some time, and I just eyeballed where I wanted to glue it on. I am going to apply some hot glue to the corners of the wood to keep that in place. And of course, you can add whatever ribbon you think that would make your DIY according to your taste. I was just using up what I had, and this piece of ribbon just gave it the look that I was going for. So after I glued that on, I am now going to take my mirror, this mirror from the Dollar Tree, and as usual I like to cover the mirror just to keep it from getting dirty. I cleaned it first, and now I'm taking a piece of paper towel and just taping that onto it. Then I'm also adding some twine to the top of the shelf. Now this also is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think this just gave it an additional farmhouse feel, a natural look. So I wrapped the twine around a couple times, maybe 4 times. Then I tied it at the back and applied some hot glue to keep it in place. Then that just looked too plain, so I decided to add something else. So I wrapped the twine a couple times around my fingers. I'm just creating a bow. Then I took another piece and I tied it in the middle, flared them out a little bit, and I'm going to glue that down in the center of where the twine twists. Now I'm going to glue the mirror on. Now I did not remove the rubber felting from the back of the mirror because I wanted that to serve as additional cushion for the mirror. So I applied some hot glue to that, eyeballed where I wanted it, and placed it on. Now because of that, there left a space in between, so I needed something to cover that. I took some skewers from the Dollar Tree, measured the distance from one end to the next on the mirror, and then I just cut those off and glued them in place with some hot glue. But before I did that, I just used a little diluted brown paint just to change the color of the skewers, give them a little darker color, and then I glued them on. So after I glued the sticks in place and they were dried, then I applied some Mod Podge just to seal it. Now I'm attaching this hanging hook that comes in the Dollar Tree picture frames. I glued it on first with some hot glue, then I applied a piece of craft stick with hot glue and wood glue on top of it, and that is just for added protection to keep it secured while I hang it on the wall. So there you have it, guys, my farmhouse style Dollar Tree floating shelf. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.